Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing a way back playback or a throwback to a tag that went around, I think it was about 4 years ago. I know some people have obviously done it since, but I think the big rage of it was about 4 years ago. As you can tell from the title, it is the perfect palette tag. Now to me this should have been a challenge because it was actually really hard. I have actually struggled to figure these things out, and if you guys follow me on Instagram, which you should, you will have heard my little rant about trying to find these palettes. Let me just preface it with a ton of these palettes have actually been given to me from friends decluttering and stuff like that, and I bought a few of them, but some of them I've won and just a whole bunch of stuff like that. So it was kind of hard with some of the questions because I do have a lot of palettes and I don't reach for eyeshadow all that often. So I'll stop the rambling and we'll just get right into it. So the very first one is best packaging. I love this palette. This is one of the Kat Von D palettes. I think this is one of the ones that's no longer sold. I don't even know. But like the detailing on the packaging, like the skulls in the wings of the butterfly, the back of the packaging. Inside is, you know, nothing too crazy. It's really sturdy and I loved it. The next palette is best color payoff. Now, when I first heard this one, I was thinking like best colors, and I say if you want a color palette, BH Cosmetics is where you're at. But this is the original Urban Decay Vice palette, and I've always loved this, especially with this like slow opener, and then the way that it sits, you can actually see yourself. Hello. So this palette, I reached for a ton when I won it. Some of these colors are so potent and I love them, and I just don't reach for them because like they're quite, like, you want to have these colors if you're using them. These are not for the faint of heart. Definitely a lot of color payoff in this one, but there's so many palettes that I have such good color payoff, but I thought I would throw this one in there. Next palette is the most versatile. Now I have found myself reaching for this palette so much over the last few weeks, and it's the Lorac Pro palette, which I'm sure everyone and their mother has seen, and probably everyone and their mother owns, but I only just got my hands on it recently and I'm absolutely in love with it. I love that they have a lot of mattes and they have the shimmers and ones that are just like really kind of like foiled and metallic looking. So I have been absolutely loving this. Next palette is best for travel. And I had a really hard time with this because there's a couple palettes that I have traveled with. But most recently when I went to New York in February, this was the palette that came with me, and it's the original Naked palette by Urban Decay, which again, everyone and their mother has seen, has owned, has swatched, has looked at. I'm really digging the bronze and the golds and the browns. They do help blue eyes pop, and I just like some sparkle. Know that it is a very neutral palette. You could do a really like dark smoky eye, you could do a really bright eye, so I think that's pretty good. The next is the biggest regret. Now, I had a really hard time with this one because, like I said, inheriting a bunch of palettes or winning palettes, I can't really regret them. I didn't buy them. Went and thought through some of the ones I've actually purchased. So I think this would be my Morphe 35F palette. Now, it's a gorgeous palette, do not get me wrong. It's stunning. I think it was Into the Fall was the name of this one. Stunning colors. Most of them are metallic, glittery, shiny. And I don't actually think I've even swatched every color in this. I've just not ever found myself really reaching for this, and like I want to. Now that I'm staring at it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use this in like my next tutorial because I do want to use it. Next palette is the best names. Now, I'm such a weirdo when it comes to that. Like, I love, more so like for nail polishes, like I absolutely love some of the names for nail polishes. I'd say one of the best ones, some of the best names are from the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. Now, I'm of the bout that doesn't have any names, no sheet, no print off, nothing. So I can't even tell you some of my favorite ones, but I do really enjoy when she released the palette and like talked about each of the names, kind of the background to it. That to me just kind of put this to the next level. So it's kind of fun to see the quirky personality of the brand, or of a person, like whenever they do a collab with a company. My least used palette, besides that Morphe one, is one that I got in a Christmas set, I think 2 years ago. I think it was one my mom sent me 2 years ago. It's an Estee Lauder one, and it's gorgeous, and I have a blog post on it. I just don't really find myself reaching for them. So this is the palette. This is a Pure Color Envy palette. And like, they're pretty, but like, they're nothing special, and they're colors that I kind of have elsewhere, so I haven't really ever reached for it. My most used palettes, and again, haven't reached for a ton recently because I am trying to expand and play with the other ones that I've been given, but it would be my 28 color neutral eyeshadow palette from BH Cosmetics. This is a way back playback as well. The funny thing is, I don't think I have a single eyeshadow I've ever hit pan on, because I just don't wear makeup every day. So I always kind of think, you know, I've been on YouTube for 7 years now. You'd think I'd hit pan on something. Nope. So I would say one of my most loved eyeshadows, again, is one that traveled with me. When I was living in England, I bought this. This is the W7 In The Buff palette. So the In The Buff was the dupe for the Naked 2 palette, which I now have, and I definitely like put them against each other and was like, wow, they were spot on. I loved this. This was like my go-to, and I had to like stop using it in tutorials because I was always using it. So this has been awesome. If you have the Naked 2, then it would be the Naked 2. But it's one of my go-tos, although again, not for quite some time. And the last one is Desert Island. Now, I had a really hard time with this one. Because I do try and, you know, use different palettes, use different color palettes, but I had this one down originally for best packaging, and that was the original Tartelette glancing palette. It's just sleek, it's just clean. Purple's one of my favorite colors, so I loved that. But the only thing I would say against this palette is the fact that it's all matte, which I don't have a problem with. If I'm on Desert Island, I think I need a little bit of sparkle. So the In Bloom palette has some more shimmery and reflective colors, if you will. So I would say that. But if I had to pick another palette in my collection that has a similar color scheme and more range in color, it would be this Laura Mercier palette. Artist's palette. And that's what this looks like. Okay, so it has the same purple tone, some browns, the nudes, but a lot more shimmer. Like, one of my favorite colors in here is African Violet, which is this color right here. And it's just a stunning, stunning color. So I would say if I had Desert Island, this would be my jam. So I know this video tag is really old, but I would love to know what some of your favorite palettes are for these questions. Leave me down a comment. You can hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on Twitter, all the above. And I will see you guys in my next video. See ya!